Welcome to Preach the Word Worldwide Network. Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise God. Thank you so much for tuning in today on the Preach the Word show. And as I always say, it gets better and better all the time because God continues to move. And I'm telling you, there is going to be such an amazing message for you to hear today. Such an amazing testimony from such an amazing woman of God. Help me welcome Jeanne Enstad. Blessings, Jeannie. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Having me on.
Yes, you have such an amazing testimony. I love to hear your story. I love to see what God is doing through you and in your life. You are such an inspiration. Because of this book, you have become a sought-out woman of God. Amen. Traveling and interviews, and people are just curious and wanting to know about the afterlife, and you have some of the answers for that today. And it certainly is a book of giving hope to many people. And those of you may have experienced the loss of a loved one, and you're kind of concerned about what's happening with them or whatever. She can share some things with you today to give you some peace about that. And also she's going to share with you today and give you some hope about the amazing grace of Jesus Christ, how he is a healer, how he is a deliverer, how he is the wonderful God that we serve. Amen. Jeanne, tell us about your testimony.
Well, it actually started when I was 37 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to run the Boston Marathon, and I was doing like 8-minute miles, 10 miles a night.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought I was done really good, but I didn't make it. And the reason is they found out that I needed to have surgery on my mitral valve. So I obviously thought they had the wrong patient, and that's the thing. So I went in to repair the valve, and then 4 hours later it failed. I had a massive stroke and my left lung collapsed, and I was watching. It was like I could see my two nurses just going back and forth, just saying to each other and praying, saying she's not going to make it, the surgeon's not going to get back here in time. And I was like, from above, looking down, what looked like my dead body. You know, and I kept trying to tell them. I couldn't reach them. I was trying to reach them and tell them that, no, I'm fine.
So you could actually see your body. You could see, you was aware.
Yeah.
And you could see your body on the bed.
Yep.
Did you know you were out of your body?
Not really, not until, I watched the surgeon come in the operating room, and I remember, they have like a tent over your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him walking up and taking that off and saying to the other doctors, oh my goodness, she's so young, she can't die. But then all of a sudden it's like I was just totally separated, and I ended up in heaven. I'm like looking down, and I have this white gown, and as I walk forward I could see the golden gates, the streets, and that sort of thing, and it's like all of a sudden the white was gone, and I heard an angel say, welcome to heaven. And so my experience there the first time was, actually just like it says in Revelation. Exactly. I saw the mansions, the colors were amazing. I was amazed at the grass. Grass is as green as could be, it's always cut. And I was like, as I ventured through, I could hear children laughing. And like they were playing games and that sort of thing. They were running around. Couldn't see a lot because obviously I knew I was coming back. So I was limited to what I could see. But I saw the beautiful rivers. I saw just beautiful flowers, trees, mansions, everything like that. And then I end up, my grandpa was a farmer. And he and my grandma had already passed away. And I heard my grandpa. So I tried to go further, and the angel pulled me back, and she said, you can't go any further because you're going back. But my grandpa was laughing. And I said to her, I don't understand this. My grandpa never laughed. And she said, well, he's in heaven. So then I went to an area that was a kitchen. My grandma was a great cook. And I could hear my grandma. So I obviously again tried to go further, and she pulled me back. So you can't go because you're going back home. I said, I don't understand it, Grandma. She's laughing. She's happy. Never hurt. She just didn't do that. And she said she's in heaven. Then I saw this huge, like, beautiful, bright light. And the experience I had there too was that I didn't have any pain. Everybody was happy. There was no worries. You know, it's like you've ever heard someone say, wouldn't it be great to live in a world where everybody loves each other? There's no pain. That's heaven, definitely. And so I saw this huge light, and it was like worshipers. And I asked the angel, what is that? And she said, church is everywhere here. And she said, people are just bowing and praising the Lord. I was like, oh. Then I heard this celebration, and I was like, what is that? And she said, oh. So we went a little further, and I could see where people were like, it was like a party. And I asked her about that, and she said, somebody's just come home. And she said,
So in heaven, you saw a celebration every time someone would come home to heaven.
Yeah.
The angels would begin to celebrate.
Yeah. They're all, and they would, she said that, we have a group that shows them, takes them around heaven, shows them where everything's at. And then if they have a loved one here, they take that person to their loved one. And I was like, but obviously I could not get further to see anything. The one thing I think that amazed me is I saw like a peach tree, and I saw like somebody reaching to grab that peach off, but as soon as they pulled that peach off, there was another one that's placed.
Wow.
A ripe one. And I was like, oh my goodness. It was just amazing. But I wasn't allowed to see a lot because obviously he knew I was coming back. And then, again, I looked down and seen what looked like my dead body. And I was like, I didn't want to come back. I just kept begging, please don't make me go back.
You didn't want to come back?
No, I did not. Not at all. But the next thing I remember is that I opened my eyes, and the room was totally dark. And in front of me was a TV, and it was 11 News, and a boy had been murdered. And I realized at that point, I'm back on Earth. So I pulled all my life supports off. And that's because I didn't want to be here. And the nurse came in, and she said, I'm going to call Dr. Zama, which was my surgeon. And he came in, and he sat beside me. He put his hand on mine, and he said, Jeannie, he said, you need to know that every time I'd lose a patient, I would come in and sit by you and hold your hand because I knew you were in heaven. And he said, that's what kept me going. And I told him I don't want to be here anymore. And he said, you know what, that's not your choice. I said, and so for 2 days, I didn't want to talk to anybody. Everything was just black. I didn't want to see anybody. Then it got to a point where I had to, go down to physical therapy and that sort of thing. And then I realized once I got into physical therapy that I had had a stroke. So I couldn't talk, couldn't walk, couldn't do any of that. So it was very challenging to be there, a place that's so perfect and so wonderful, and then come back to the problems of the world.
I think this is such a blessing for many that may be watching today. And when we think about our loved ones who have gone home to be with the Lord, and and so many times we go through so much pain, and just the sadness, but to hear what you're saying, is giving somebody hope, and knowing that your loved one does not even want to come back.
Absolutely.
Does not want to come back. Your loved one is at peace.
Yes.
And happy.
Yeah.
And so we have to receive that and know that one day we'll see them again.
Yes.
So that's hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I tell my kids, when I go, I said, I want you to celebrate. And I can understand, I lost my mom a few years ago, and for me, I missed her because we did Bible study together and things like that. But I knew she was in the greatest place of all. And I can remember, for 3 months, I was just crying. And God said, you know what? You know better. You know where she's at. Shame on you, And I know that. But as a human being, we miss them, and it's hard for us here. But I know where she's at. I can see my mom sitting on the park bench just talking to everybody because that's the way she was.
Yes. And I appreciate you sharing this because, you don't hear many messages about heaven. Nobody really preaches about heaven or any of that thing. And I guess it's because there's so much trauma and life difficulties that's going on here on the earth that we're just trying to get through here on the earth. But there is another place,
Yep.
and that place is heaven.
Our eternal
Yes,
home.
our eternal home.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, and that the worst part of it is that it didn't stop there for me. I end up 6 months later had another open heart surgery, and
So you had a stroke.
I had a stroke.
6 months later, now you have a heart attack.
Yeah, well, now I had another open heart surgery.
Another
They had
open
to
heart
replace
surgery.
that valve
Okay.
again.
Okay.
And then I found out I had ovarian cancer.
Then cancer.
Right. And then I went through another open heart surgery. We had to replace the mitral valve again. It just doesn't seem. I was
So
like,
when
"Are
you were
sewing
going
it in?"
through all of these things, from the, heart surgery, cancer, a stroke, and all that, how are you really feeling emotionally about, Lord, why am I going through all of this when I can just go to heaven and this will be over with? Did you ever
Oh, yes.
feel that way and just say,
Yes. In my book, I talk about my conversations with God because I was very angry at some point. I was like, why did you bring me back to this? But I also knew I was raising 3 kids myself, and who was going to take care of them? But yeah, I was very, very upset. I was like, and I kept, my book's it's very humorous. I talk about the humorous conversations I have with him that I want to come back. I don't want to be here. But yet on the other side of it, I had 3 children to raise, and yeah, I would always say, why me? Why all of this? But I know that I'm the kind of person that has to know why everything happens. But I learned the hard way that, I don't have to know the reason. All I have to know is that God does, and that's good enough for me.
Yes.
Because God, He created each of us. He created each of us with a talent and a purpose in life. And once you realize what He created you for and you're living your life for that purpose, I say in my book, you never work another day in your life because you love life so much that, but yeah, I was very, very upset, at some point. But yeah, and it was only through him, It's funny because, like I say, I talk about my conversations with him, and they're very hilarious, and I can remember the one conversation. I remember one day he goes, I was just angry, just me, and he said, "Are you done?" I was like, "I guess so." "Well, let me tell you how it is." And I was like, "Okay." And what he said, it was so true. It was very, very true. But it didn't stop there. I ended up going through breast cancer also. It was
ovarian cancer and then breast cancer?
Yeah, I had breast cancer. And I say that He has the plan, and He knows. It just happened to be that when I had the breast cancer, I would never have known it, but I was teaching for Ford Motor Company doing their family programs, and Tammy from the American Cancer Society had asked me if I would teach preventative cancer, and I said sure. And as I was going over the slides, I seen telling women that at 40 you need to have a mammogram done. And next thing I know, I'm just standing there looking at it thinking I've never had one done. So I did the following week, and that's when they found I had cancer. God knew that I needed to be there at that place so I would be aware that I had cancer.
What a story.
So
What a
I know,
story.
it's all about Him.
Yeah.
Not
And then
us.
You're going to talk about you went to heaven again after all of that.
Yeah, I end up
Yes.
having.
Now we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. And we're going to share that part.
Okay.
We'll be
Sounds
right
good.
back.
So, you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So, pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. And all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. Independence U for an independent you.
Well, we're back again, and you went to heaven again.
Yes.
How was your second trip to heaven?
Well, actually, I had a brain tumor before that happened.
Okay, so we've had let me get this right, because God is good.
Yes, he is.
God is good.
Yes.
Heart surgery twice.
3.
3 times.
Yeah.
3 heart surgeries. Breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and a stroke. Now, what happens next?
I ended up having a brain tumor.
Brain tumor.
Yeah, and they end up, surgery was fine with that. And it was actually, I had also a stroke with it. So I was back to physical therapy, trying to learn to walk again, talk, and that sort of thing. And so actually it was on a Friday. My neurologist and the whole team that worked with me, we were celebrating that, finally I was going to go work out on my own. And so Saturday morning came, and I went to work out about 5 miles from my house. I ended up having an automobile accident. It was what they called black ice, and I was slipping on the road, and next thing I knew is there was a semi coming toward me.
So after the stroke, now you have a head-on collision.
Right, with a semi.
With a semi.
Yes.
Yes,
And
truck.
he took the front of my car off and ended up my back seat. So they took the jaws of life to get me out and that sort of thing. But then I went to heaven the second time. So I, seen pretty much the same thing as I had the first time. But this time I did see a library. It was a huge library. And, it talks in the Bible about God has our books, for us there. And I did see it. I tried to go a little further to see what mine said, but I got pulled back. I wasn't allowed to see it. So I was so limited what I was allowed to see. But I seen more of heaven. I seen more mansions, more beautiful trees, rivers, things like that. And actually, at that time, I felt this like warm hug around me. And I heard this voice, and it was Jesus. And I remember looking up at him, and I saw his eyes. And that was when I was toward the end of being in heaven, and I wanted to stay. I thought sure I was going to stay that time. And so the angel said, you have to go back. And I kept saying, I don't want to go back. Well, then I heard Jesus say, all right, I'll give you a choice. You can stay or you can go back. I said, I'm staying. He said, but before you make that decision, you have to see something. And so I looked down and seen what appeared to be my dead body again, and my 3 children. Sarah was on the left side praying and asking God not to take me. Brad was on the right doing the same thing, and Doug was just staring there. And I said, what about them? And he said, I don't know, what about them? I said, they have no one to raise them. And I said, I have to go back. And he said, well, that's your decision. And so obviously I went back. So I came back to earth again. And since that's happened, I struggle every day. When I get up every morning, I have got to get what I call my human mode, get out of my human mode into my God mode, because I struggle every day being here. Because after being in heaven and having, everything's perfect there, no pain, it's hard to come back to this.
I can imagine.
And,
yeah.
I had said to the pastor, I said, I'm really struggling with this. He said, well, Jeannie, when we go to heaven, we're not supposed to come back. So he said, I can imagine it would be hard to come back. And it is hard to come back, so I thought, well, okay, I'm raising my kids. My kids are doing great now. They all have their own careers and things like that. So about a couple months ago, I said, during my Bible study, I said, okay, God, I'm ready to come back. And he said, no, you're not. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought that was the deal, that once I raised them, I could come back. And he said, no. He goes, I want you to think about what was said. You did the talking, not me. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I got thinking about it. Oh my gosh, I did do the talking. So I said, so you're not letting me come back now? It's like, no, you're not coming back now. You have lots more work to do. So, and then of course I had all the, everything, the difficulties of the auto accident. I was in a body cast for almost a year. And so then I ended up, after that, had another open heart surgery, which was my tricuspid valve. They had to replace that one. And then I had gangrene in both my legs. And I had vascular disease for 8 years. And so when I came back to more pain. And and that's what I try to tell people now, is that we all have all of us, you know, we have two things in common. We're all born, we're going to die. The difference is everyone is born with a talent, a special purpose.
Yes.
And that's what life is about.
Yes. Well, this is such a beautiful story. And you're definitely giving a lot of hope to some people that are watching this broadcast, and for many reasons.
Thank you.
Many reasons. And tell us a little bit about what's going on with you now. And you're still dealing with some health issues.
Yes.
But God.
Yes.
But God.
But God.
He's still keeping you.
Yes. Yeah.
He's still keeping you.
What was interesting, I had been journaling for years, had no intention of writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I also talk in my book about my career. I was a preschool teacher, and then I went to work for 4-H at OSU, where you needed a master's degree. I only have a 2-year associate degree. And then when I had the accident, I lost my job. And so I went to being director at the senior center, and I'm like, I got the little ones and big ones. Well, how does this? I end up working for Ford Motor Company and doing all their program. So God blessed me with the jobs I had because I didn't have the degrees that I needed for those jobs. But a year and a half ago, I had a heart attack. And Dr. George, my vascular surgeon, said, okay, you know, we don't know what else to do. But he said, God keeps telling you that once this book is published, you'll be healed. I said, that's not going to happen. He goes, I don't care, appease me. So he puts it on a 30-day prescription pad. You have 30 days to get this book to the publisher. So obviously I did. And I was supposed to go in for my 7th open heart surgery. And I've been healed.
Hallelujah. Come on and
this
praise the
around.
Lord. Wow.
I didn't have to go. I had gangrene in my right leg, and they were going to have to amputate my leg. And I'm wearing shoes now for the first time in 8 years. So, and now, once my book came out, I actually went flying. I flew to New York City for the first time of doing book signings, and I thought I would be dead by now. I definitely think I was going to be alive. But my book has just really helped people to find purpose. People can relate because everybody has a story. We all go through rough times. And God is the one there for us. You know,
Yes.
You know, and no matter what I go through, I have carcinoid disease right now. They just found that out, and that's cancer on my heart. You know, when they told me about this a few weeks ago, he said, you know, you could have 2 months, you could have 20 years. I said, I'll go for the 20 years, okay? So, you know, I'm ready to go home, so it doesn't bother me. But, you know, I always say, you know, we don't know, but God does.
Yes.
And He wants the best for us. He loves us like no one else can ever love us. And whatever He does, it's going to be the best decision. You know, I talk about my new book. I'm actually doing another book, a sequel to this one, and it is called Tomorrow, God's Fulfilled Promises. What happens tomorrow? And after all of this, and tomorrow has been amazing. I've been, you know, and my goal is to help people. You know, we all been through rough things in life, and I just want to help people to know that we have a Father that created us. He created us for a reason and a purpose. And once you turn to Him for everything, no matter how bad it is, He is there for us.
Yes.
He always is.
Yes, absolutely. This is such a beautiful story. A journey of hope to heaven and back. Wow, this is so amazing. So, what's next?
Well, actually, it's in Hollywood screenplay now.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, it's like, well, you know, you're talking. It talks in the Bible how God took unknown people. You know, I'm just a plain farm girl. You know, and it is amazing that it's in the Hollywood screenplay. So I'm not sure where it's going to go. I'm very excited about it.
I can definitely see a movie out of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I just always say, you know what, God, I don't know what's next, but I know You do, and I'm in.
Yes.
And that's how I live my life now.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful story. Everything documented.
Yes.
God continues to heal
Yes, He
and
does.
deliver.
Yes.
You're looking beautiful.
Oh, thank
He's
you.
just doing amazing things in your life.
Yes.
And I thank God that He decided to bring you back
Yeah.
so you can be a blessing to all of us. If you'd stayed in heaven, we would have missed out on hearing your story, and the Lord knew that. He knew that there is much more work for you to do, and that is telling the world about your story, your testimony of how God continues to heal you, with all of the different sickness and diseases that you've had, you're still a living testimony. You're sitting and you're walking, you're talking, and just telling the story, and that is so beautiful. And I thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your story.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes. And definitely you want to pick up a copy of this book and read all of the book and be blessed. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jeanne.
you for having me.
God bless you.
Bless you. Thank you.
An important message for Americans eligible for Medicare.
Are you receiving all the benefits available to you? Do you know there is money available to lower your Medicare prescription costs?
Now's the time to find the coverage that's right for you at the right price. The way to do that is to explore your options. You can spend hours doing that yourself, or you can call Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you with no cost or obligation. We'll search a variety of plans from nationally recognized companies to find the coverage that's the best fit for you at a price that fits your budget, and we'll do it at no charge to you.
Plus, you may be able to save money on prescriptions. We'll tell you if you qualify.
Why pay a penny more than you have to for an insurance policy?
Let us find you the right plan at the right price and see if you qualify to lower your prescription costs.
Put our free service to work for you at no charge.
Call 855-589-0676. 855-589-0676. Don't wait, call now.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-981-7594. That's 800-981-7594.
Familiar? You make the minimum payment, but the balance is still the same. You make a payment a few days late. Here come the late fees, past due notice, and the collection calls. We understand dealing with debt problems is not easy. It is stressful and hard, not only for you, but for your loved ones, your family. You're not alone, but you must understand debt problems only get worse unless you take action. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, please take a minute and call the number on the screen. Learn about programs that have helped thousands of people get out of debt. Reduce your monthly payments, cut interest, and even settle your debt for a lot less than you owe. Save thousands. Get your life back. Call the number on the screen now. It's a free call, free information, and most importantly, you will have options.